Hi guys, I hope you all are having a really great holiday. I'm here to scrapbook this photo of my niece Samantha, and this is just a photo that her mom gave me, and it's the only copy I have. Usually I'm scrapbooking pictures that I printed myself, so this is a 4x6 print, and I'm just looking through the Most Wonderful Time of the Year kit, and I'm picking out some of the papers that I think are going to coordinate with this photo. I'm mindful of the fact that it's obviously there's the typical red and green in this Christmas photo, but I'm also wanting to put a dark mat around it. So I'm going to go with this dark paper here with the polka dots. It is from the Simple Stories from the DIY collection. And when I went to glue the photo down, I noticed her mom had written her age and the date on the back of it. So I just put that on a piece of scrap paper so I wouldn't forget. I'm not all that likely to forget because I do know her age, and I know that it was probably taken in November. But anyways, I just wrote it down just in case. More to remember to document it than to remember what the actual content of the details are. So I really like how that photo looks matted in black. I've been doing a lot of matting in dark colors lately instead of matting in white, which is something that I used to do. Now this paper here is from the Merry and Bright collection from Pink Paisley, and I really love it for a background. It has this beautiful Christmas related text in the background and then these white poinsettia flowers in the foreground. It's very subtle and it's a pretty pattern, so I'd like to use it for a background. And I also really love this. It's almost like this diagonal stripe. It picks up on the colors in the photo, the different shades of green and then the different shades of red. And I really do love that diagonal striped pattern paper, but I'm going to have a problem with it, which you'll see in a few minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to cut myself a snowflake pattern here. These are the digital files that came from Scraptastic. So now you see me over at my desk and it is quite messy. So you'll see my new microphone there. I'm narrating with that right now, and so it might take me a while to figure out exactly how close I need to be and that sort of thing. So I'm using this as my sample layout process video just to make sure that I know where to sit and where to put the microphone and that sort of thing. So I'm just showing a close-up of it cutting because I love to watch it cut, but I don't have the time to do that today. So I'm just going to go back to my desk here while it cuts, and I've cut a little rectangle of that striped paper that I love so much, and then I've decided to use this red bow paper as another background paper. And I think that because it's very spread out, the pattern is very spread out, it gives the photo and the other more busy pattern paper a little bit of room to breathe. Now I really love how that looks. But this is not at all what this layout is going to end up looking like. So I have a bit of a problem here, which is I like how this diagonal pattern does kind of pick up on the plaid in her dress, but it seems to be too much because it goes so far up the side of the paper. I don't want that diagonal striped pattern to be the main thing that you see on this layout. I want your eyes to go right to her beautiful dress and my cute little niece. So I've decided to replace that larger rectangle with this longer strip of the exact same paper. So I'm just showing you how this really doesn't overwhelm the photo quite as much as when I had that larger piece. So I'm going to cut this strip at this place right here. And for a minute there, it looks like it's not cut very evenly, so I'm just checking, and yes, it is. It just doesn't look like it. And sometimes your eye plays tricks on you with pattern papers, especially with diagonal stripes and stuff. So it is a straight piece. And I'm just looking at that, and I do like it quite a bit better than the rectangular piece, but you'll notice that this place over here is a little bit too heavy, so I'm going to cut it right where I motioned right there. I'm going to cut so that most of that big burgundy strip is not there, which makes this piece shorter than what I'd like it to be, but it's more balanced because that larger piece of burgundy colored stripe was really drawing your eye away from the photo instead of towards the photo, because it was too far off in the right side. So this is much more cohesive, and I really do enjoy the way that this is looking right now. So I'm going to stick with this design for now, but it's not going to last too long. I'm actually going to quite dramatically change this. So here I am, my snowflake pattern is finally completely cut. It's quite an elaborate pattern, so it takes a long time for it to cut. And it's also going to take a long time for me to release it from the cutting mat. So I'm just going to take my time and gently peel all of the pieces off. It cut into 2 pieces. And so the first piece came apart pretty easily because it's fairly big, but this second piece is quite elaborate. And so I'm just gently pulling it, and I just kind of peel back the mat away from the paper so that it prevents me from bending the paper too much as I pull it apart. I went and grabbed my little spatula tool to help me with that. That's actually a Cricut spatula tool, but Silhouette makes one almost exactly the same. So there's my die cut piece. I just have to take a few minutes to release some of the negative space pieces from the die cut itself. There are just a couple of places where either my blade, I don't think I've ever changed the blade on my Cameo, so it might be getting a little bit dull, or for whatever reason it didn't quite cut through, but I didn't have to use my scissors or anything. They were all pretty well cut. So now I'm just going to take my little squeegee tool and get all of these extra pieces of white paper off my mat. I find that if I don't take the time to do that right now, then it ends up, I don't properly do it later, and then those papers become stuck to my mat, and I don't really like that. It takes a lot longer to take them off if you wait too long, because it kind of fuses into the glue. So see how I can take that second piece and put it in a number of different places to make this die cut take on a different shape. So at one point I realized the back side of this paper actually looks quite a bit better with this die cut piece than the front side does. I really like the composition that I originally had with that strip of diagonal striped paper and then the bow paper in a rectangle behind it. But I also really wanted to use this die cut. So it's kind of going back and forth between the design that I really liked with this photo and then the use of this die cut, which I really wanted to pair this die cut with this photo of Sam, because it just feels like it goes together. Yeah, so I've decided that this is going to be a fairly minimal layout, because in order to really have that die cut have a lot of emphasis, I don't want to put a whole lot else on this layout. So I'm going to frame it just to give it another little bit of detail. I thought about framing it in just the black cardstock, but that was going to be too heavy. So I don't want to bring more attention towards the outside edges of this layout. So I do like that composition. So I just pulled out another photo that is in my queue of photos to scrap. And I think that design is still going to work well with that other photo. So I'm going to go ahead and go with this because it seems to be working for me. So in order to frame this entire layout with that darker paper, I'm just going to cut off a 1/2 inch off of 2 adjacent sides, so one side and then the bottom. And I'm also going to take the manufacturer's strip off of this houndstooth paper. This paper is from, and I only use 3 pattern papers on this whole layout. It is from Merriam Bright from Pink Paisley, and I just used my trimmer to cut out the middle of it because I didn't want to waste it. I do really like the pattern. I also like the pattern on the back side of this one, so I just thought I would do that just to save some paper. I do have 2 pieces of this, so I might not have needed to do that, but so I really like how this is looking, but I want a little bit more emphasis between the red paper and the houndstooth paper, just where it's kind of a pattern on a pattern. I just want to kind of, I guess, emphasize that edge where the red paper ends and the houndstooth begins, but I don't want to draw too much attention to it. As I mentioned, I didn't want to have it be in that really dark black because that would be too much attention. So I'm just going to outline it. I'm triple outlining it in a .05 pen. and that's how it looks. Sorry, that's really fast. I know. And I like how that looks. Now, normally I will extend something off the edge of the page. I'm not doing that when I use a frame. I usually don't want to do that. When I frame a layout, I want everything to be within that frame. So that's something a little bit different for me. Normally, I would have extended this die cut over to the left so that it hung off the edge, and then I'd cut the edges off. But where I'm using the frame, I'm not doing that. I just used my Zig two-way glue pen to just glue this down in a few tiny little pieces, and that just accentuates the texture that you get from this kind of an intricate die cut by allowing it to lift off the page and cast a shadow underneath. And I'm going to place this photo right here, nestled amongst them. I'm basically just taking the shape that the die cut has and nestling the photo right in the corner of it like that. I did use some pop dots there as well, just to put the photo up. I haven't actually attached it yet, but I've put the pop dots on. And now here I'm just experimenting with the idea of maybe adding something else. I was thinking this is basically just going to be the photo and the die cut and a title, and that's pretty much all that I'm going to use. This layout has a real sweatery feel to it, even though the pattern paper doesn't have a knit kind of pattern in it. There are some papers out there right now, like some current papers, that have that knit look, almost like the Tim Hortons cups, if any Canadians are out there. And I really love that pattern, but even without that pattern, this layout is taking on like a sweatery type of feel to it. So I really want to accentuate that by just leaving it plain. So although I want to leave it plain, the reason I'm looking through all of these stickers is that I do want to put her age and the date on there. And so I'm kind of struggling with how I'm going to do that in a really minimal way. I don't want to add anything to the design at this point. I really just want it to be the snowflakes, Sam, and a title, and that's it. So I'm struggling a little bit with where I'm going to put her name and age. And I haven't even decided on the title yet, so I figure I really want to use these stickers. So I thought maybe I'll just go with a pretty simple title as well. The layout is pretty simple, so I'm going to go with the title of just Merry Christmas, just plain and simple like that. And it means that I can use these really pretty black glitter stickers, which I love. They are also from the Pink Paisley Merry and Bright collection. And the bows on that background paper give me an opportunity to easily line up my letters so that they're straight. I just make it so that they land on the same part of the bows, of that row of bows that they're on top of. And now I'm going to put my photo down. And the first time I put it down, it's going to be a little bit crooked. I can tell because there's more of the bows exposed under the M in Christmas than there is under the C. Now this snowflake, this black snowflake sticker from the sticker sheet, it was just too perfect. It lined up too perfectly with that die cut that I just had to use it. I could not. So I just put it there on the part of the die cut that it matched up with. And I really love that. So here I'm just going to fix that picture a little bit. I just detached it from all but one corner and just shifted it up a little bit. So now that's looking a little bit straighter, and I'm pretty happy with how it looks. So I'm trying to put that little bit of journaling on. So all that I wanted to say is Sam's name and the date and her age, or maybe just one or two of those things. And I end up deciding to do the journaling right in the bottom corner of the photo here, just because I didn't want it to become a design element on the layout. And so that's one way to avoid it becoming another element. But the problem with that is that it's not very neat. And I really hate it actually. So I'm going to just think about what I'm going to do with that, whether I'm just going to leave it or if I'm going to do something else. In the meantime, I'm looking for a gem, and that's just a drawer full of older embellishments that I'm hanging on to. They're not really the kinds of things that I use all that often, but I didn't want to give them up. So I just threw them in a drawer, and I'm not much of a gem type of a person. I don't use gems very much in my scrapbooking, but every once in a while you need something like that. So now I'm thinking I'm definitely going to want to cover up that handwriting because it's not very nice. So here I am over at my typewriter. That little triangle of paper is a pattern paper that I cut from the Fancy Pants Oh Dear collection that came in the kit. And it's just that beautiful candy cane striped paper. It has 2 different shades of red on it. So I just put it onto a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper here. It's actually quite a large scrap. And that allows me to type on it, and I'm having a bit of trouble with my typewriter right now, but it'll eventually work out. It's just I forgot to put that little guide down, so it wasn't holding the paper in the right place. And anyways, I got it figured out. It's been a while since I've used my typewriter. So I am just typing out. What it ends up saying is Sam, age 4. And I typed a couple of different things out because it took me a while to get it to land in the place on the paper that I wanted it to land, and that sort of thing. So there it is. And so here I am, I'm just going to trim this out, and I left a piece of the burgundy red on the bottom and a piece of the redder red on the top, and that's what I love about journaling on a striped piece of paper is you can keep a little bit of the stripes, and it just gives that really nice detail to your little journaling strip. Striped paper is one of my favorite ways to do journaling strips. I've lost my fussy cutting scissors, so I'm trying to do fussy cutting with my big giant scissors, and it doesn't work all that well. So somewhere in this disaster of a craft room are my scissors. I don't know if you noticed when I showed the cameo, my room is a disaster, like my desk and everything. So I'll probably clean it up after I finish this narration. But anyhow, this is what the layout looks. I just wanted to show you the outlining there and that snowflake. Oh, I love how it looks on that part of the die cut. What a coincidence that those just matched perfectly. I'm so pleased with that. And there's the die cut. I love how it casts a shadow and how it's not completely attached there. And this is a very, very simple layout. It only took me an hour to make this. And even then, a lot of that time was wasted by going down another path that I didn't end up going. So this one probably could have come together in half an hour or 45 minutes or something like that if I didn't have to kind of try to work it out the other way. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. I hope you have a really great scrappy week. And I'm going to put just a little tiny sample of me using my other microphone. This is the other microphone that I used to use. It was part of my Logitech headset. And when I did a little sample earlier today, I was really impressed with the difference that my new microphone makes. So this is what I used to sound like, and I can't believe the difference. So thank you, Santa. And I hope you all have a really great scrappy week.